In a move that can only really be called disappointing but not surprising, Sony has reportedly DMCA'd, essentially legally requested the takedown of the Bloodborne 60 FPS mod / patch off of the internet. Now I'm going to be leaving some sources in the description down below at the bottom. I usually leave sources for the things that I talk about. There's some other helpful things in there as well, hopefully, and ways to connect with us on social media and our other channels. But that said, this was written about yesterday, or about almost 2 days ago now at the time it's going up, because I recorded it at night, where Lance McDonald, both data miner and modder, actually talked on Blue Sky about what happened, saying on February 21st, 2021, I created and released a patch for Bloodborne, which makes the game run at 60 FPS. Today, I received a DMCA takedown notification on behalf of Sony Interactive Entertainment asking that I remove links to the patch I posted on the internet. So now I've done so. I know some people get frustrated whenever someone gets one of these and they comply with it, but here's the problem. Imagine you're David and this is Goliath, except you don't have God on your side, right? This is a mega corporation pretty much coming at you with all of the legal force of billions of dollars and the ability to rain that down on you. Even if you were in the right, it would ruin your life. It would just ruin your life completely. You'd be paying that off forever. So people comply with this stuff, even though a lot of times these legal tactics are seen as almost corporate bullying because they value having a life more than creating a mod. And it's unfortunate what happened here. I do want to take a couple minutes to talk about this. Like I said, unsurprising, but really disappointing. I feel like Sony has gone so much more, I don't know, like censorship-y and kind of against the consumer, and it's too bad because it's not like there's exactly tons of options out there that are super pro-consumer and really nice to the gamers or really nice to modders or things like that. So this is just another in a long line. And it's unfortunate, but if you enjoy this video, you want to leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments down below about this. We will kind of break this down briefly here for just a couple of minutes. If you do enjoy the video, you want to answer the question of the day, that for me is, what do you think about situations like this? That said, this is not a good look for Sony. And one of the reasons it's not a good look for Sony here is because Sony has been neglecting a lot of their IP. Now, in, legal sense, is their IP theirs? Yes, obviously. Like, I don't own the Jak and Daxter IP, right? I don't own the Sly Cooper or Bloodborne IP. I can't just go make a movie about it or make a game about it and sell it. But when it comes down to it, for goodwill with communities, goodwill with gamers, you do want to give them a sense of ownership, not legally, but in terms of like, hey, you want to make a little fan project you're not making money off of? Go ahead. Hey, you want to make a patch or a mod or whatever? Go ahead. Like this just increases interest in our game, interest in our movie, interest in our whatever. And unfortunately, it seems like a lot of these developer, I guess, groups, or should I say production and executive groups, really, because it's almost never the video game developers who are against this stuff themselves. It seems like a lot of them don't get that. Like they think we are on top of the world, we're winning, you will buy it no matter what, so we can do whatever we want. And when it comes down to it, this really only removed a cap for FPS. That's it. Like this wasn't really doing anything crazy. What this did was it let you on the original hardware, which I will say did not work the best on base PS4, but on the PS4 Pro worked really well. It was then letting you run Bloodborne at 720p 60 FPS, essentially using a boost mode. I just don't really see the point of this. And the PC Gamer article that I looked at for this, the main one by Ted Litchfield, I think did a really good job breaking it down, and I would love for you to check that out. But something he mentions is that the legal basis for the mod's removal is kind of weird because the consumer right to modify software for non-commercial use has a strong precedent, but as is the case with many DMCA'd mod projects, the asymmetry between the global corporation and an individual hobbyist makes fending off these attacks unrealistic. This tactic of intimidation is something Nintendo has long used to a chilling effect, and I find it ominous to see Sony ape that behavior here. And also kind of mentioning as well, like, this mod's been out for 4 years, and really all it did was remove the FPS cap. So it's a good article. I would definitely recommend it. I'm not reading the entire thing. That was just a little excerpt of it. But something that's been pointing out about all of this as well is like, what does this compete with, this mod? What does this mod compete with? So like, let's say, for example, let's just like all huff our copium really hard. And you look at the idea that they could be making a remaster, right? Well, their remaster is not going to be 720p. Even if it is only 60 FPS and it's not targeting 120, it's not going to be 720p. So it's like, it's not like this is a 4K ultra widescreen 120p or 120 FPS thing, right? He didn't do any of that stuff. He just unlocked the frame rate and that's it. And what's weird to me is this was for the, console hardware, right? Just kind of tinkering. But when it comes down to it, you can still use PS4 emulators in order to do this. Like, you can play this game on a powerful computer right now. Like I mentioned before in a previous video, in one of the other couple of times we talked about this topic in general, basically Bloodborne has already been released on PC. You might be thinking, well, no, it hasn't. Not officially. You're right, not officially. Because fans got tired of waiting, so they did it themselves. They just decided to release it on there. It works fine. There are actually ways to make it look and run much better than it does on the PS4. Essentially, fans already remastered the game on PC. And I understand the idea from Sony could be, well, now hold on, what if we want to do that and make money? And it's like, sure, but why didn't you? Like where has that been? I guess is kind of the question. Now, do you have to do that like every 3 years? No, but it's been almost 10. Like, it's been a decade, essentially. I believe it was a 2015 game, which is crazy to say. It's been a decade, essentially, since Bloodborne came out. And so people got tired of waiting. They moved it to PC, where they could tinker with it, uncap the frame rate, just like this did on the base consoles. They made it so that they could essentially up-res it. A lot of people essentially remastered the game themselves, and they're enjoying it there for free. Like, that's kind of that I would understand maybe a legal argument about, right? Because, like, emulation is fine, and I love emulation. Where it becomes a problem for companies they want to get rid of it no matter what, companies. But where it legally becomes a problem is if you're downloading the ROMs or downloading a BIOS you don't own for an older console, things like that, where it becomes intellectual property breach, essentially. Now, do I believe those rules are good for everybody? Not really. I think a lot of the copyright and IP laws are outdated and very anti-consumer and anti-creation. But that said, those are the laws, at least in the United States. So what's interesting to me is it's like, I would have seen them going after the emulation side of it first. Would I agree with that? No. But like, to me, that would have like logically been the step if you wanted to like, swing your Corpo D around and slam the money briefcase on the table and say, we have lawyers and you don't. I would think that would be the first thing they'd go to is, well, now hold on, there's no way everybody who's playing this on PC, there's no way they all had a Blu-ray disc reader they could dump the game from. Somebody has to be downloading this illegally, and that's, it's jumping into our profits here. We got to stop them. That's where I would have thought their brain would have gone. But instead, their brain went to, well, we need to stop 4-year-old patch that did FPS uncap. And it's funny to me because actually this person, Lance McDonald, even mentioned in a different post, I'm not sure if it's in this article or not, I'll put it in the description, mentioned that he actually met Shuhei Yoshida, who we've also talked about in previous videos. Actually, our last Bloodborne video was talking about the comments from Yoshida, who is very prominent at PlayStation forever. And he had even told Yoshida, I tinker with games and stuff like that. And Yoshida had asked, in what capacity? And he had said, I'm the one who made the Bloodborne FPS uncap mod, basically. And Yoshida thought it was cool. Like, he just kind of like laughed and smiled, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but he wasn't like, no, how dare you, kill this man, kill him. Like, he didn't summon the dogs to tear apart Lance on the spot or anything like that, or get the lawyers out there to like rip the clothes off his back. He just was nice about it. And so this is where I feel like you come into a lot of problems as a company. I know that to these companies, Goodwill seems like it doesn't matter. Like consumer trust, the idea of enabling creativity. You look at a company, though, like Sega, not that they're perfect, and I talk more about companies like Sega on my other channel, Degenerate J, so if you're interested in talking with me, hanging out, stuff like that, I do make videos over there. But you look at a company like Sega, and they will allow almost anything when it comes to Sonic the Hedgehog, like in terms of its IP. Like, you want to make a fan film, you want to make a fan game, there's a trillion of them, and a lot of them are celebrated. I mean, at one point, they even brought on Christian Whitehead, who I've talked about before, who was really just known in the Sonic community for unofficially porting Sonic games and making his own stuff. They brought him on and he made Sonic Mania with a team, and that worked out really well for them. So it's weird to me that you see companies that do get this, they do get enabling consumer freedom, enabling creativity, enabling a sense of ownership, not in the fact that like you could go make a ton of money off of it, but in the sense that you can create as an artist, and then they actually scout for talent through that. Like, that's a good thing. That's good for gaming. It's good for free gaming, you know, where you can enjoy fan stuff. It's good for official, like AAA gaming, where you can scout for talent. It's good for video game preservation, something these companies don't care that much about. And what bums me out is like quality of life updates like this, all those really are game preservation. You know, and this was a game preservation for people who didn't necessarily have an ultra high-end gaming PC, who didn't have the ability to, or maybe didn't even want to, emulate the game. They just wanted to play it on, say, a PS4 Pro. So really all you're doing is hurting the game preservation of that. And for what? To make yourself look like a dick? I mean, even if you are doing a remaster or remake, which is, again, high copium amounts, just speculation, this is not a competitor for that. Releasing an official remaster or remake, competition for that is not some guy made an FPS uncap mod. And if that is competition for your remaster or remake, your remaster or remake is probably trash. Like, you need to take that thing back to the drawing board. If one guy uncapping the frame rate and leaving the game at 720p is competition for you somehow, then you are a garbage company. Like, that would be horrible. Not because it's not impressive that he did it as one person, but because this is a guy tinkering with a game from 2015, just removing the FPS cap. I don't know how much I can stress that. Like, that would be such a bare minimum. That's not even a remaster. That's just a FPS unlock. Like, what are you going to do? Release Bloodborne, the FPS unlock edition? No. What is the point of this? I don't know. This stuff makes me so livid. And I really think people need to spread this stuff around. Like, people need to make this kind of corporate bullying known. You know, even when they have like a legal right to do certain things, it doesn't make it right to do. And that is where I think the companies differ, is they don't care. So if you enjoy this video, let me know what you think. Answer the question of the day if you want down below. I appreciate that very much. I have a lot of other channels in the description down below. I have a channel called Magical Jill where I work with my wife and we cover anime stuff. So if you enjoy Japan or Japanese things, you might actually like that. I have a channel, Degenerate J, where we cover all kinds of variety of things. We have Degenerate Plays, where we play through games together, podcast style. Lots of stuff there. We've got Patreon, we've got a Discord, we've got a Twitter, so pretty much everything's there. I hope you have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shway.